We got Renee on there.
And yeah, Andrew, we're good to go.
Good to go? Okay. Your floor, sir.
All right, good morning. It's 11 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. I'm L.A. Smith with Ken Smith Incorporated, and we greatly appreciate all of you taking a few minutes out of your day to spend it with us and learn a lot more about digital banking. That's becoming a vital tool in this COVID and post-COVID era. So we want to see what we can do to help you improve your digital aspect of your business. I'm joined by Lee Manchester. He is our Chief Operations Officer here at Ken Smith Incorporated. Good morning, Lee.
Hey, good morning, and welcome everybody. So we're here, and we're with NCR, who's our co-sponsor on the call as well. So we have a strong relationship and a partnership with NCR, and together we're going to be running a two-part series. Today we're going to talk about part one, which will discuss the digital banking and how you can stay ahead of the competition and be ready for customers in this post-COVID-19 world. We live in an interesting time now. Then in July, so look for another invite, we'll be discussing innovations and market strategies, more specific to the success we're seeing in branch transformation and automation efforts, again, due to a lot of the things that are going on within the COVID-19. So that will be coming, and please look for that. Those who don't know don't know KSI, here at KSI, we build a cross-functional team across multiple products and services, and it's designed to help our clients simplify its processes. So we try to deliver seamless execution specific to the needs and expectations of the clients we serve in the both bank and credit unions and to its customers and members. We firmly believe it starts with providing the highest level of service standards and deliver a consultative strategic solution for our clients as a company and through all our partners in the industry. Hence our partner NCR, who understands the digital banking solutions and how digital transformation is not only about technology advancement for the community financial institutions, but we believe financial institutions need to begin to explore how they create digital banking organizations that goes well beyond the new technologies. We believe the focus should be around creating a digital bank culture and reinforce it from the top to bottom and bottom up. I'm sure many of you have a focus of technology upgrades required for digital transformation, but we also believe cultural change is equally important for the institution. And we believe our discussion today will help you provide you insights in how you can increase employee engagement, increase employee product knowledge, enhance your customer member experience, and increase customer satisfaction and online banking adoption. Trends we're seeing to better focus on digital banking look like this. You can see an increase in new customer member enrollment online within the first 30 days. We're seeing consistent year-over-year online growth in banking users. We're seeing year-over growth in mobile users and bill pay, as well as the cost optimization on these traditional transactional-based needs of a consumer. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Andrew Wahlberg, who's going to be running this, as well as Vanessa Forstoffel, and they're going to run through about a 45-minute presentation on digital banking. With that, I'll turn them over to you guys.
Thank you, Lee. That was an excellent introduction. We appreciate you and LA. Thank you for the wonderful intro, and we appreciate you gathering all of the clients together for today's session. And we really appreciate the partnership because obviously we have worked with these guys for a long time, and it's wonderful for us to get together and share with you more about what we're doing in the digital banking space and really kind of expand upon what you all just shared. And I'm going to start off with quick introductions. Myself, Vanessa Forstoffel. I am an account executive here at NCR. I cover the Southeast Territory, including the Carolinas on down to Florida. And Andy Wahlberg is my colleague. He covers the Mid-Atlantic Territory. I'm out of North Carolina here in the Raleigh area, and Andy is out of Columbus, Ohio. So again, thanks for assembling this morning. We do have about 45 minutes of an overview. Hopefully we'll get some questions and answers. And I know that Lauren, who is behind the scenes, she is monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, certainly use that. And Lauren, every once in a while, we'll check with her. see what questions you all may have. But I want to go ahead and just sort of get started here. Hopefully everybody's seeing my slides and not having any challenges with that or my audio. Let us know if you do. But just a high-level introduction about NCR to expand on what LA and Lee just said, and that we have been in the business of helping financial institutions accelerate their digital transformation journey for a long time now. And we say accelerate because never before has the pace of change been as quick as it is today with regard to customer expectation, user experience, and technology. But this pace of change will never be this slow again. And we know that financial institutions who are exploring digital transformations and are embarking on big decisions about partners, about future partnerships, and who to turn to help them continue to compete and win against the money center organizations and the other community financial institutions in their space. These decisions affect financial institutions not just for a term of a contract, but really well into, boy, the rest of this decade, if not into the next decade. And we want to share a little bit more about what we're doing to help equip our client partners to better engage with their customers and members and to really be more proactive in their communication. So high level about NCR is that the NCR digital platform, it powers all devices, online banking, mobile banking, tablet. We've got watch and conversational banking, and we are also a single back office too, so that your customers and members and the employees can manage their experiences with a single back office. So it makes it easy and efficient for your financial institutions to manage the experience for your customers and for your members. And we're privileged to service over 600 financial institutions across the country, with 140 of our clients using our business banking capabilities as well. And our 600 clients are comprised of 20 million end users on our digital banking platform. And I spent just a minute talking about that, and we'll share more information about the significance of that. But really, that 20 million end users, it reflects success that our clients have had with continuing to convert offline customers to digital banking users at a nice clip year over year. And that number also reflects our clients' ability to attract new customers and new members in their markets, because the technology that they have for digital banking is every bit as competitive as the money center organizations and the other community financial institutions that they're competing with. That number also represents 20 million end users, represents the fact that NCR continues to really win a lot of opportunities with prospective clients who entrust their digital banking with NCR. And then finally, what we're happy and excited about with the 20 million end users as data and analytics and insights about member behavior and customer behavior continues to grow and become increasingly important. The way we're able to leverage the insight and analytics from those transactions and interactions is helping us pass additional value back to our clients. So because we're the largest non-core banking, digital banking provider out there, we're agnostic to core integrations and core interfaces. So we integrate with all of the FIS flavors and Fiserv and Jack Henry and all of the secondary and tertiary solutions out there. It doesn't matter. As well, we also have hundreds of integrations to other fintech partners and third-party providers beyond just your core and your bill pay, really being able to, adapt to all of the places and areas where your customers and your members are using other fintech providers out there. We enable that same technology on the platform. So high level about our agenda. Today, to many of your customers and your members, their mobile device is the bank or credit union. And nowadays, it's even more important that digital banking is leveraged as a communication channel to keep your members and customers informed about everything from their financial picture to sharing financial relief opportunities, to scheduling in-branch appointments or notices of when branches are going to reopen, to being alerted about fraudsters who are trying to maybe perpetrate potential scams. And today we're going to cover some best practices of how NCR clients have leveraged our platform to do all of the above, including, keeping your customers and members engaged, how to support your employees as they're working from home, how to tailor the right and the appropriate marketing message to your customers and members, and then finally, how to enhance the support of your end users. All right. So today is very different than yesterday, needless to say. Even though we've moved into the various phases of reopening, there's still a lot of turmoil in the economy, with depression-like unemployment and people's financial security that seemingly vanished overnight. For many Americans who are fortunate enough to retain their current jobs and their employment, many are now dealing with new work and family expenses and stricter budget controls. For businesses, they have more return claims, they have more online purchases to track, and an extended tax season has just extended the stress for a lot of consumers and businesses out there. For many, work from home means that there are higher food and utility expenses. You have parents jockeying for a quiet place to have their conference calls and their Zoom meetings while their students are doing the same for their school classes, all while everyone is sort of enduring the frustration with bandwidth issues at home. The good news for some is that, daycare expenses went away, but the bad news is those working parents, they still need to work while they're also, having to be, the daycare providers for their little ones at home. And so sadly, though, there are a lot of folks who have lost their jobs or on furlough indefinitely. And the prospect of replacing that income is scary, as many of the companies are on a hiatus from hiring for the near future. And then, when you look at the businesses still have to cover their full rent. They still have insurance to pay. They have taxes to pay. And all of this doesn't even really cover the real impact of the health concerns of COVID, both the physical and, quite frankly, the emotional stress that's incurred.
And all of that impact that we've seen from a personal life standpoint, managing the various aspects. I, for one, obviously have a 5-year-old, soon to be 6-year-old, so I completely identify with what Vanessa just shared from that front, being a daycare manager. But you, as a financial institution, have felt the impact as well. And one of the unique things about us at NCRDI is we are constantly listening to our clients to ensure that your voice is heard and that we adapt to your needs as they evolve. A great example is our trusted roadmap. We furnish an actual development roadmap every 3 months to our clients to ensure you have full line of sight into all that we're rolling out in the soon to near future. About 30% of our deliverables in the roadmap actually come from none other than our own clients. But in a period like COVID-19 as we're in, we've taken that opportunity to continue to actively listen, continue to understand how your businesses as banks and credit unions have been impacted. And we've heard some pretty universal themes. We know that call volumes have increased. It's added additional stress to the number of calls that are coming in and how you facilitate that member and customer service and satisfaction. We know some were set up a little better than others from virtualizing their workforces, right? Getting everybody to be able to work from home instead of coming into the office. And as Vanessa touched on, there's some of that remobilization back into the office, but it's slow and we'll have to see how that goes. We know obviously lobbies have been closed and appointments maybe were at the branches were by appointment only. Maybe you even ventured down the path of virtual appointments. You've been leaning heavily maybe with your KSI partners as well on NCR ATM technology, interactive tellers, things of the like, to lean on the technology to help you through this period. And oh, by the way, a couple of things that nobody anticipated coming into 2020, at least not me, were a couple of additional elements like payroll protection programs. And we've seen several challenges in the rollouts of that program, several iterations of that program. We at NCRDI, we've actually organically developed some capabilities, kind of repurposing some assets for versatility in our platform to help facilitate the payroll protection program. And we've even leveraged our partnerships with MX and Nimbus to facilitate that as well. And last but not least, stimulus checks obviously have had an impact here from a management perspective. So all in all, a different situation and a lot of impact to you, the financial institution. And all of that has really cemented the lifeline that is digital banking. Digital banking has always been important. It has probably even been tossed around by many on this phone as far as should we improve our digital experience and where that fits in the prioritization scheme. And this situation really brought to the head that this is a fundamental lifeline for your business. It's the way in which you engage your members and customers as they're managing their finances from home. And we at NCRDI, we're kind of data junkies, and you'll see a little bit of that here today. We want to study the patterns and the analysis so we can support you infrastructurally, architecturally, but also we can help educate you on the patterns we see that help you prioritize and run your business. And we'll talk about the big growth that we see overall, but a couple patterns are kind of emerging that fuel that growth. One is the folks who hadn't used digital banking before COVID-19 have begun to use it, right? They've had to manage their finances from home. In fact, there was a study by Lydeco, I believe, that said about 63% of folks who hadn't formerly used digital banking are now using digital banking. And it's creating this kind of halo effect, I'll call it, in that they're using it now, recognizing the convenience and capabilities it serves them with, and they will continue with that as they move forward. Then as we shift gears to the pie charts on the upper left and right of your screen, as you see, we've seen a traffic shift. Predominantly the traffic coming through digital channels, roughly about 50-50 between those coming in through online banking and those coming in through mobile. As we progress through COVID-19, we've seen mobile really become dominant and become the desired mode of operation, even more so than online, to the tune of 63% of folks coming through mobile versus 37% in online. Now, overall, you see the traffic there on the right that we see versus our average traffic patterns. We're experiencing about 70% higher than normal traffic. In our peak periods, which are our high periods, we're seeing 106% higher average traffic. And in the past 45 days, over 72% of our enrolled digital banking users have accessed digital banking. And we've been around 24 years, and that is actually a record for us. And as we look at something like mobile remote deposit capture, that's following suit in the usage we see. And these are both the regular users, but also new users we'll see in a second. Obviously, the regular users are continuing to use it. Stimulus checks are playing a part in this. About 10% of the items coming through mobile remote deposit capture are falling into those $600 or $1,200 denomination varieties. And let's be honest, Vanessa touched on it, people working from home, people having quarantine impacts, maybe people losing their jobs. There's some side hustles going on. I see it in my own neighborhood where there's a social site and people are buying, trading, and selling. And of course, they're paying by check sometimes. So that's fueling some of this growth. So just significant growth all around from our mobile remote deposit capture. And then back to that halo effect, the new users, from a mobile remote deposit capture standpoint, they're signing up to use this service. They didn't use it before. They have a need for it now, and they're going to have a need for it going forward. So we see new enrollments up, new deposits up, the total amounts up, all from the new user perspective and mobile remote deposit capture as well. So just very good data to help ground the conversation today to the value that digital banking holds and will continue to hold for you. And that's why NCRDI puts so much emphasis and investment on looking at this data to help you through the process.
So the challenge with the forced digital migration for financial institutions was really kind of threefold. We saw our clients struggling to engage with their users and be proactive about it. We saw the challenge with delivering a personalized experience to their subsegments within their user base. And then we saw the ability to update content quickly enough during the times of rapid change during COVID and everything that was happening in March, April, May, and even today. And we always say that a great plan includes a mix of high-tech, low-tech, and no-tech communication channels. High-tech channels including online banking, mobile banking. It includes SMS messaging. It includes push notifications, email, live chat, social media, the internet. Low-tech communication channels we think about in terms of like telephone blasts and hotlines and radio and television. And then no-tech, which we probably have all incorporated into our plan, are simple, even just, banners and branch signage, in our offices. So in this current climate, what our clients are doing today is looking at ways to, again, better and more effectively communicate how they can deliver all of the services that they offer to their customers and members digitally, how to maximize the digital channels as well as the call center and support their users as best they can. And then they were also looking for ways of offering, flexible options on the digital channel. So here what you're seeing is the ability to create banner ads and banner ads on mobile banking. And I know, as having looked at a lot of your websites, that there are so many of you that already and still have all of these banners on your website, everything from information about your branch openings or new policies for coming into the branch and what they need to be aware of. There's in some areas where you can make appointments to, have a branch meeting with one of the branch representatives. There are reminders about leveraging mobile banking. There are reminders about, the scams that are happening out there. And incorporating these banners from your website, super important to being deployed in your digital channels, because most of your digital banking users, they're not looking at your website at all, probably. So they're expecting to see this in the digital channels. So we've made it really easy to create and position these in many different places in all channels, as well as push notifications. So from left to right, this probably looks pretty familiar. It looks almost like a website, but it's actually just the banner within online banking. So, COVID information, COVID resources, et cetera. The example next to it, same situation, only in the mobile device. So another banner positioned a little bit differently. Again, these are they're tailorable by the institution. So you could come up with your own design and your own creation, and you can manage this yourself. So there's no having to, go to NCR to have these positioned and go through either customer support or have a project opened up to do this and have, professional development services. These are all at our client's fingertips. And then finally, at the very right, you've got an example of push notifications. And this is, in the mobile app or even outside to get information about what's happening with the branches or whatever you want to target to your users. As far as the images go, that's another whole, idea about branding. And when you think about branding from the standpoint of, and you've probably heard this expression about, how do we say it? It says, market like a brand, not a bank or not a financial institution. So you think of yourselves as a brand. Again, this is at the customer's fingertips to be able to put your own logos and your own designs within the mobile app or online banking. So you can see how, the example of we're all in this together, we're here to help. The images there can also be tailored to subsegments. So we found a lot of our financial institutions have different segments within their user base. So there may have been a different image for, their high net worth customers or their high net worth members, or possibly, the students and, a younger generation. So again, very flexible for our customers to modify these and to tailor them at different user groups. And then off to the right, what you've got there is the mobile message of the day. So this is, again, kind of a generic message that as they're logging into the app, that information is readily available, can be changed, at your leisure. And then that mobile message of the day carries through on the right-hand side, and this is an online banking. So again, more information about the coronavirus, all of that information tailorable. And then up at the top right-hand side, you've got the ability for the live chat session. So a lot of our clients, it was interesting to watch how quickly they wanted to deploy live chat. Some were thinking about it on the fence, and then all of a sudden with the lockdown and the quarantine, everybody wanted to deploy that. So anyway, here's an example of the message up at the top. It has an embedded link, so the user can launch that link at any point in time, and it will take them to live chat to message back and forth with a CSR and MSR.
Continuing with our theme of self-service, as Vanessa was pointing out, and again, it's a big emphasis here at NCRDI. We, as Vanessa pointed out, we do not want you to have to rely on contacting us for any changes you make, whether it's COVID-19 or beyond. We want you to have the flexibility, the seamlessness of the platform to do so. And what you see here is a great example to do that. All the navigation in online and mobile banking is all self-serve. You can change and prioritize as you see fit. Bring whatever resources you need to the forefront to ensure your customers and members are accessing and using the right utilities that you want them to. And a great example here is the schedule a branch visit. Maybe in today's world, it was schedule a virtual visit, or maybe it was another capability that you wanted to be sure that they used because they couldn't come into the offices any longer. So just a nice, nimble, flexible way for you, the financial institution, to bring the right resources and prioritize those in a self-serve manner to benefit your customers and your members. And another capacity that Vanessa touched on, of course, is as we see more folks coming into the digital channels, as I started the conversation with, these folks now have an expectation of a seamless support experience. They want to be able to utilize those same channels to facilitate any questions or needs that they have, whether it be a secure message, you can think of that conceptually like a secure email that your staff would receive and then tend to later. Maybe you want to go full throttle into the real-time chat, both in online and mobile that we offer, so that folks can actually just start a chat session as they need to. Maybe you want to browser share or emulate and see what the users are seeing. You can even get down that path. And finally, you can even get into proactive chat. And if none of you are familiar with that, think of the scenario where you're selecting a link or you're on a page for a certain duration of time. You, the financial institution, now have the power to reach out proactively and say, hey, Mr. Customer Member, can we help you? Or maybe if they're on a particular product for a long time, maybe there's a sales opportunity that you can cultivate. So different ways to streamline that experience. And as Vanessa pointed out, a lot of folks didn't have that support feature that they wanted. Vanessa, go back one slide real quick. Didn't have that feature, and they had to add some additional agents. And the reason they needed to do that was, much like many of you, you probably had some resources and employees that were in other areas of the bank or credit union, but now with the volumes going into digital banking, you need to support that differently. So you needed to staff that differently, getting them up to speed, but also getting them access into this channel as well. So we actually have a partner on the back end here that typically, to stand up a new agent from a support variety, was about a 3-week period. We worked with that partner, listening to our clients once again, understanding the need to do it more quickly, and we actually reduced that to under 24 hours. So it speaks to the level of nimbleness and the way we listen as well. And one other tidbit I'll add on this that's not on the slide is Apple Business Chat. And I'm not sure how many folks are familiar with Apple Business Chat, but it is through iMessage. It is an Apple technology. You can use it on Mac and Safari browsers and such, and integrate it into the apps and things that you use as another means for your members and customers to contact you for questions, answers, and help. And there's only about 50 companies nationwide that are running it, predominantly Fortune 200 companies. We at NCRDI are actually the only technology provider to have it live with one of our clients, which is Safe Credit Union out on the West Coast. But if you think about folks as they're searching for streamlined ways to get their service and get the questions they need answered, the most natural way is through something like a text message, which is what Apple Message is. It utilizes iMessage, so you're using it just as you would that you're texting your mom or your family or your friends. It's a very natural communication means to use. So people tend to use it much more often. And I'll give you a great example of this. As COVID-19 came on, I am a Delta Sky Miles member, and I naturally travel quite a bit for work. Well, obviously, I had trips upcoming that I needed to cancel. As I called into Delta, the wait time started at around 6 or 7 hours. They ballooned all the way to about 48 or 72 hours at the height of it. And naturally, I didn't have that time to wait. So I saw another option as I was in the mobile banking app for Apple Business Chat. Selected it. It popped me out into my iMessage. I authenticated, and I was talking to an agent in 5 minutes and had my flights canceled in under 10 minutes. So it begins to speak to the benefit these digital channels can have in that variety. And financial assistance, and more specifically maybe relief in this day and age, is naturally top of mind for probably many of you, as it is many of our clients. Great example of that is skip payment functionality. Many on this call probably offer some flavor of skip a pay. It's been around for quite a while. Naturally, it's normally been run around the holidays, say November, December. That's the usual time frame we see skip a pay. And overall, it's been kind of a cumbersome process in a traditional sense. From a customer or member perspective, I have to download a form. I have to fill it out. I may have to fax it. I may have to bring it into an office. Then you, the financial institution, you've got to take that and you've got to do everything you need to do to process it, whether it's to advance the due dates, whether it's to calculate the deferred interest, et cetera, et cetera. So end-to-end, not the most efficient traditionally. So we at NCRDI partner with many of our clients on many different cores to automate that end-to-end so that from an end user, customer member perspective, we can have them set their skip payment under 15 seconds. And then you, from a financial institution perspective on the back end, you don't even have to touch it. It goes straight to your core. It advances the due date. It calculates the interest, and you're on your way, saving just tons and tons of time on the back end and translating to more skips overall. Many of our clients, in fact, using this have begun to run this continuously versus just around the holidays due to the increases they see. And we'll touch on a few case studies of that later. Now, shifting gears to financial management and more around that financial planning type of mentality, a couple stats I'll share before I talk about the solutions. There was a stat, I believe it was from Javelin, that said something around 50% of consumers don't believe that their financial institution offers the tools that can help them even plan the next 1 to 3 months, which is kind of staggering. That's not a very long time period, 1 to 3 months. And then before COVID-19, only about 25% of folks indicated they felt like they were financially well, and that's probably even shrunk some as we've gotten into this period. So that leaves a whole host of folks, 50% plus, that are looking for financial tools from you, the financial institution, if you offer it, but they're willing to go to the Mint.coms or the Credit Karmas if they can't because they have a need for it, right? Because they understand they've got to plan further out than 1 to 3 months. So we help you with that. NCRDI has a full suite of personal financial management tools right within our online and mobile banking so that we can position your institution as the financial hub of your customers and members' lives. They can aggregate in accounts from wherever they are held, even if they're at external accounts, external institutions, so they can truly see their total financial picture. They can see their transaction and spending history. They can set budgets to be sure they're marching time to plan on a monthly basis. They can even do debt-to-income ratios and debt paydown ratios, so they can understand if they were to do a different structure as far as their payment structure for their loans, how that might benefit them. So tons of information, again, in one spot. And this is in online as well as in mobile. And that's important because in addition to the tools we offer, the mobile access really accelerates the engagement. Case in point, the active use we see on our personal financial management is around 35%. Comparatively, most competitors out there are seeing 10 to 12%, so it speaks to that. Now, on the back end of this is kind of the holy grail for you, the financial institution. Now you have the opportunity to see all that data behind the scenes for where your customers and members are aggregating in from. So now you can mine that data if you see external accounts at particular institutions or particular types of accounts, or maybe you even want to get into the I see your credit cards and the rates you're paying, and we have a more competitive offer for that. So you begin to see the opportunities you have to truly cultivate that data and translate it to real ROI. And in the next screen, you're going to see just a snapshot of our bubble budgets. This is more the gamification of it, where the screen won't do it justice in real time. They can fling them around and move them around. But you see the budgets you have. Green means good, red means bad. Smaller means it's a smaller budget, bigger means it's bigger, and it begins to gamify that experience for your customers and members. And then last but not least, credit scoring is naturally important for your customers and your members. And it's kind of interesting. 10 years ago, you couldn't find your credit score anywhere, and now you can pretty much find it everywhere. And it's really become ingrained in the digital banking experience as well. And there's kind of two flavors of it. One is your more tried and true traditional credit scoring, which is we, the institution, want to share with you what your credit score is, what has been impacting that credit score, maybe some best practices and tips to improve that credit score, really more the educational variety. And then the other flavor is, okay, now we not only want to show you the educational side of it and educate you on where your credit score is and what might be impacting it, we also, the institution, might want to take some of that data and we might want to market based off that data. And we at NCRDI offer both flavors to choose from so that you can incorporate that in online and mobile. And the last point I'll make here about credit score is, as much as it's educational and maybe you want to get into the marketing scheme, here in COVID-19, what do we know about disruption periods in history? They drive fraud. The fraudsters come out of the woodwork and they try to capitalize on the information they have. And this is yet another benefit that credit scoring functionality yields so that your customers and members can stay top of mind for that and be sure they're not being taken advantage of.
Excellent, Andy. Thank you. So on average, kind of switching gears here, our clients have an average 4.8 mobile app rating in the app stores. And while we believe that it's important to have a frictionless and elegant user experience for your customers and your members, we also believe that the experience for your employees is super important. And that's why we make sure that our back office and in our administrative portal, where your employees are going to support your customers and members and where they're going to look for additional information and training, et cetera, we want to make that user-friendly and easy to traverse and easy to really get the most out of it. whether it's employees, whether you've got employee turnover, whether you just want to provide refresher courses as an example. So in this, you're seeing that our admin platform, it's got training and knowledge base, and the first area there being the knowledge base is our employees in product management, in client care, our solutions architects, they spend a lot of time really studying the questions that come into our support organization, whether they're actually telephone calls into our support organization or whether they're being logged in the portal here. But we're looking at the types of questions that are coming out in the areas where we need to flesh out additional information and feedback about certain usage and things to know about functionality within our platform. So the knowledge base is the area that we keep updated regularly so that employees have information at their fingertips to study and provide quick responses at the call center or via, the live chat capabilities. So we've got that capability. Off to the right, you see the additional area for training, which is super important, as if there is turnover in your organization or, again, just quick refreshers. There's everything from 15-minute sessions to end-to-end training about, more advanced functionality, or from soup to nuts about capabilities that your employees need to know more about. So the training is all in there. It's all complimentary. We keep it updated on a regular basis. So very self-service, very at your fingertips. So the other thing that we are known for is that our client base of 600 is really an ecosystem. And we all benefit from, that sort of partnership and, the benefit of that collaboration across the board. So here's where there are examples of where our clients, through the client exchange, can submit different areas of information and actually have a forum in here to network and to learn from each other. So our clients are submitting different pieces of information. Our clients can subscribe to specific topics and be updated on an ongoing basis of when there's additions to, certain questions and answers that they want to get more feedback. So it's really a nice collaboration opportunity for our client base to keep in touch with one another and network, and particularly now, just the best practices that we've seen our clients share with one another outside of what NCR has formally, done from a training perspective. Our clients are very much, really helping each other in that spirit of being an ecosystem. We also want to talk a little bit about our customer success. So, as an organization that's really focused on client success, we want to share a few of our case studies that we have. So the first one is Ocean First Bank, and a number of years ago, they were going through a digital transformation, and they were really looking, it was kind of at the pinnacle of at least the first kind of wave of digital transformation, and they were looking at their branches very deliberately and really trying to figure out how to ramp up their digital solutions. And so they added additional functionality, and really over a course of time were able to study what was their lift in active users. So really converting their offline customers and members to being online customers and being digital banking customers. So they saw a great uptick, and as they continue to enhance and ramp up mobile banking and online banking, they saw a nice drive and lift in, not just mobile remote deposit, but just digital banking overall, bill pays, et cetera. From a Skip-a-Pay perspective, Andy spent a little bit of time talking about the automation of that. We've had numerous clients implement Skip-a-Pay, and Clearview Credit Union is one example where they saw the opportunity to automate that. And after working with us and creating the Skip-a-Pay, they have it deployed kind of year-round, so they can run it whenever they want. It's not necessarily year-round, but they can determine when they want to offer that. But they saw a tremendous lift in the number of skips and operational efficiencies. It went from being a back office, time, an amount of time of 3 hours per day, on average 15 minutes per skip, to really being a 10-second process end-to-end for the user, and then also for the credit union to manage that. So it became very seamless and turnkey for the credit union, and increased a lot in the terms of additional dollars and revenue and opportunities. The other example I want to share with you is True West Credit Union, and we talked about in the in the capabilities of financial management and being able to budget and look at the user, allow the user to look at their spending and their trending. From the credit union and bank's perspective, though, our clients are able to look at their customers and where they're banking elsewhere and what rates they're paying on other products and services at other financial institutions. So that and those analytics being readily available to our financial institutions, in this case, allowed True West to look at their members and where they were banking elsewhere in terms of credit cards. And they were able to determine who had a credit card with balances elsewhere where they were paying a higher interest rate. And so True West went to market with, automating the capability to have the credit card balances moved over to True West. And you can see the results here with the increase in the balances, the reduction in just the cost overall to change that from an in-branch situation to being totally digital. And then finally, the increased revenue for True West over the first, 9 months period of time, or first six months period of time. So very successful way to automate that, working with us and collaborating to build that.
Safe Credit Union is about a $3 billion credit union out on the West Coast in California. They've been a partner of NCRDI for a number of years, and we wanted to call out a few examples to highlight the versatility of our platform that helped them down some real business results that you can get your arms around. The first is they had a situation that I'm sure most of you could identify with as a bad one, is that they had an outage of their debit and credit card processor at one point. And as you can imagine, these folks have about 120,000, give or take, members that are actually using the digital platforms, not to mention their cards, right? Everybody having the cards, and their call centers were flooded. They were getting inundated. They were kind of experiencing what I experienced with Delta, those long extended wait times, high abandonment rates, you name it, they were getting it, and they were getting it on social media too from their members saying, hey, we got some problems here, we're not hearing anything. So the Safe Credit Union team kind of huddled together and thought about what they could do to solve this, and they looked to NCRDI to lean on our platform to help them with it. They actually leveraged our Promotion Suite Premium to send a push notification out to their membership to let them know the issues they were facing. This was all self-serve. They didn't have to call us to do it. They sent out this message in about 30 seconds, and in about 3 minutes, the call volume dropped almost 90%, 88% specifically dropped in calls. So that's a huge efficiency driver for them to get that message out to their membership in a very quick self-serve way. So oftentimes we think about push notifications in the marketing framework. Keep in mind you can use it for efficiency purposes, as Safe did here. On the marketing side, they did use it as well for that. Back one slide, Vanessa, really quick. Thank you. They actually have a pretty healthy credit card program where they incent folks to use their credit cards, and they want those transfers over that Vanessa was talking about. But their bonus categories need to be set by the member so that Safe knows where to distribute those incentives. Once again, they thought about the different means they might have to communicate that out to their customers and members, and they leaned on us once again with our push notifications to send that out. And when they did, they saw a 30% conversion rate of folks setting their categories versus, say, a much smaller percentage in the typical mailers or emailers that you would send. So some great examples that Safe used both for efficiency and marketing utilizing the NCRDI platform. And last but not least, I believe we have Penn Community Bank. Now, Penn Community Bank was an institution who had recognized that their digital banking was not where they wanted it to be. They embarked on a full RFP process and canvassed all the major competitors out there, us included. They had some pretty specific goals. They wanted to drive better evangelism internally, and they wanted a partner to help them with that, back to some of the training things that Vanessa talked about for how we do it to improve their knowledge. They wanted to improve the onboarding process for new customers, and they really wanted a better overall customer experience. And after they canvassed everyone out there, including us, they did select NCRDI, and predominantly, while there were many reasons, what aligned with them the most was the fact that we, NCRDI, design our experiences from the customer member first. We're not developing from the technology out, we're developing from the outside in, which really yields benefits from a solution perspective and a results perspective. And they really speak for themselves down there at the bottom. Over 60% of newly onboarded Penn Community Bank checking customers were enrolled in digital banking in just 30 days. Their year-over-year growth was off the charts in many different categories, from online to mobile, even mobile remote deposit capture, seeing 50% increase in the dollars deposited in just the first month. And last but not least, bill pay. Bill pay is an interesting one because there's so many different payment mechanisms out there today, and a lot of folks see that either flattening or receding. But we do it a little differently with our integration to bill pay, where we control the API and the user experience. And it actually yields a dividend to our clients. Case in point, Penn Community Bank and something like bill pay even saw a 10% increase year over year. So significant results for them by deciding to join NCRDI. So to wrap things up a little bit, or kind of wind things back down, we started this conversation about the opportunity, the situation, and the data. And we're going to kind of bring it back to that level around the data a little bit. I mentioned we are kind of data nuts over here at NCRDI because we understand the value it has for you guys. And we do a couple of different things. One is we have our annual profitability analysis that we run for our clients. If any of you have entertained different external profit studies, you know that those are expensive. With like a RAD, they're 30, 40, 50,000 bucks. We do these annually for our clients at absolutely no cost, completely complimentary, because we want to ensure you have the data. We can slice and dice it and show you exactly what your offline profitability engagement looks like from your offline customers and members, and how that changes when they move into online, and further as they take on even further digital services, and how that profitability and engagement grows. But as you see on the screen here, we also analyze those folks coming over from competitive offerings, not yet on NCRDI. And you can think about any competitor out there, we've brought them over to NCRDI, and we measure that data so that we can understand just what is our solution driving comparatively from what other folks are experiencing on other platforms. And we really see a true tangible advantage. After year one, we see an increase in the active use on average for anyone coming on board to NCRDI of a 20% increase, so a major jump. After year two, 39%, so that nearly doubles. Years 3 and 4, 54%, all the way up to 63%. So these are major kind of eye-popping numbers, and it really speaks to the level of detail we put into that customer member experience, because we know what works since we're building outside in that drives that growth. And that yields to the right, as you see, increased profitability. Retention becomes higher. Debit card usage increases, nearly doubles that of offline customers and members, so you get more interchange and a higher annualized revenue figure. And then as we look a little more into the nuts and bolts of the profitability, as we compare to the profit studies, you see on the left some depth of information that we're able to furnish you as part of that study, where we get into demographics, their balances, their loan rates, debit card usage, you name it. We can get into the number of touches they touch you, not only in digital, but also the physical channels, really getting that in depth. And from that, we can determine that that active use that I was just talking about, that we drive significantly higher than any other competitor out there, actually causes higher profit for your customers and members, to the tune of higher wallet share growth, so more products and more accounts. Their balances, both on deposits and loans, grow significantly as they take on new digital services. The propensity and willingness to open loan accounts increases, and of course that debit card usage that I mentioned. And we've measured this to the point now that we know on average from that active use and tying it to these profitability studies that we've done for over millions and millions of end users, probably over 4 or 5 million end users at this point, that we've driven a portfolio profit increase of up to 4% by just the third year. And that's really where the rubber meets the road, with all the convenience features that Vanessa and I have touched on, both in COVID-19 and beyond. That is a clear reason why you should want to talk to us at NCRDI and partner with us going forward.
Awesome, Andy. Thank you very much. And then just lastly, we wanted to provide this website, and we'll be sharing the deck with everybody afterwards, but we wanted to provide the website for NCR, where we've got more resources regarding coronavirus, and it's everything from a digital adoption plan and a kit to help you with that. So, please feel free to go out there and download this at your leisure and, take a look, because it's updated all the time. We've got a lot of folks focused on helping our clients and our prospective clients just really come out of COVID stronger than ever before. So we'd love for you all to leverage that and utilize that. And then lastly, we want to thank you all. We're coming up right at about 50 minutes past the hour. We appreciate KSI organizing this, and would love to spend some time and open the lines and take any questions that you all might have. Or Lauren, we'll check with you.
We greatly appreciate everything you've presented to us here today. This is LA again from KSI. We are recording this webinar, so we'll be sending out a link to this recording. If you want to hang on to it or share it with anybody, please feel free. And as Vanessa said, the deck will also be supplied to you. We appreciate your time. Anything you want to add, Lee?
No, just open up if there's anybody has any questions, while we have experts on that line. I know they'll open it up for that to happen.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, LA. Lauren, if I could ask you, are there any questions that came in through chat? We were supposed to check in with you during the session and we just failed to do that. So did anything come up?
Nope, the chat and Q&A are clear.
All right. Well, again, thanks everybody. We appreciate your time this morning. I hope you all are continue to do well, stay safe, and we will get this to you, Lee and LA, and you can send it out to the clients on the phone. We appreciate everybody's attention today. Thank you. Have a great day.
Have
Thanks,
a great
everybody.
day.
Thank you all. Take care. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.